All right, folks, so I'm probably going to make this into a lab. Um, it would probably be called induction lab. Um, so I'm not going to give you kind of all the answers to it, but I'm going to point out things that you need to be observing. So to begin with, what I have here in this device right here, take a look at it. This is a coil down here. Basically, the way the coil was created was that the individual who made this took a regular, plug-in wire, which has two strands that come out that are attached to the two ends, and split the wires, and then took and they wrapped, and then they connected. So effectively, what you have at the end of this is a coil, and that's basically right here. So when I plug this thing in, and when I push the button, listen. Okay, what you're hearing is what's called 60 cycle hum, because effectively what's happening is the current is oscillating. It's AC current that's going this way and then that way and then this way and then that way in this coil down here. Now, down through the axis of the coil, there is steel, which is a magnetizable material. It's got iron in it. And in fact, if I swing this like so, you can actually see the pieces of steel. Around the steel is the sheath that is simply there just to make for a frictionless surface. So basically what you have is a coil that's generating a magnetic field that's going in one direction and then it's going the other direction because the current's alternating. So you have this alternating magnetic field up and down the axis. And the magnetic field is getting extended up. And remember, magnetic fields, they don't just come right straight out. They're also kind of leaking out, all along here. But in any case, it extends up like so. Now, I have here a piece of aluminum. It's aluminum sheath. And it's like a little circuit unto itself. Remember, aluminum is not a magnetizable material, but it is a metal, which means that charges can flow in it freely. So notice to see what happens when I go ahead and I put the coil next to this column and I push the button. Nothing. Okay, so I'm gonna identify that as situation A. Okay, situation B is going to be me placing this over the nozzle here, or the head of this thing, and gently laying it down. So watch closely when that happens with the current on. So apparently something is going on that when this magnetic field is oscillating away merrily back and forth, apparently something that is going on that is canceling out gravity. It's apparently there's a force that's being applied that is fighting gravity, and as a consequence, this thing is finding an equilibrium position. So I'm going to call that situation B. Now, one of the things you're going to be asked to talk about is what's actually physically going on inside this thing while it's in this position along this axis. So what is physically happening inside the metal? And to help you understand that, I want you to notice something. If I go ahead and force this down, it vibrates like that. And the second thing that you aren't being able to feel the effect of because you're not in class, but if you were, I would throw this out to somebody and they would catch it and go, oh, 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 because this thing is really hot at this point. It is warmed up enormously. And the longer I would have held it in that position, the hotter it would have gotten. And that should tell you something about what's going on interior to the metal here while it's along this axis. If you can't figure out what that is, I'm going to give you another hint. And the other hint is this is a coil of wire that has a light bulb attached to it. Okay? I'm going to go ahead and notice that there's no electrical connection here at all. But I'm going to go ahead and put this here, and I'm going to slowly bring this down notice that I'm able to light the light bulb up. Okay. All right. So apparently something is going on that's actually allowing me to transfer power from whatever's happening along here to this electrical circuit. And it's literally able to go ahead and light up a light bulb. This should tell you a lot about what's effectively going on in here when it's along this axis. And so the last thing I'm going to point out to you, which is really kind of the coolest thing of all, is if I go ahead and put that down like so and push the button, it goes up. Okay. One more time with feeling, it goes up. And so this is actually the principle behind what's called a rail gun, which is not something I'm expecting you to look up, but it happens to be true. And so anyway, that's what I wanted you to see.